Asking say who put the address Dr. Baumia at the Maakye in contest in just about 2 to 3 minutes. A dear nana Dr. Baumia a person Ghana for Etiasia.
Yeah, where the mother was, Nama used to a Quenya way, so I share what you for, and then me and Cassam senior professor him. Where the Vice President, Haji Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, ya him say 3 months ago, and MPP4, a Kotu Abase, or nona MBD, ye party, the Great Elephant Party, yenim, or Abattoir, ya Kotono, December 7th, 2024. Now, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, person ye say. I said the minya woko pay a juma, woko apply for a juma. A juma ya woko apply for no. O new employers and a person be who say, a juma ya o person apply for no. Why you be dana? And I say, so why you be da? Sign away no. Se unye be da so a juma ben na why ya. Ubetimi adi ho dance ye say adwuma we a ye de ma ho no watimi aye ne yie ahwe so yie enu nti no ye ngina so emfa adwuma we a wo hwehwe ne nye de ben ye mfa nye de ben emma into the Vice President Dr. Baumia on enra de o kan so person ye nyane ye say moto aba ma me boss His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
Enu nti nyame adaro ma me bedi Vice President of the Republic. Inti dear meme boss Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ye na nti no chance here say achievements are the government led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Etimaye with the free senior high school increase enrollment rate from 800,000 to over 1 million. The free TVET, the National Rental Assistance Scheme, Eboa Amomatu Ankrofo rent advance, roads are constructed over 11,672 kilometers any a day. COVID iba ya ema nyoma say kakra ema fuel prices near yi koso ema GDP growth rate na eba form enokra ntino nyoma ye de toto akwan a aboa ama se economy ne recover ama inflation e cost eba form eni nyoma we nyina no eno no ye His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government amoto aba na ma no de oye na so me as Vice President no me na me ko akansie no inti as Vice President ne dem pa na mo bitima aka se enu nti ne dem na bitima aka che Ghana for say we na ye de share mensa because as Vice President me ni any constitutional authority mandate and a power enye me na meka and as a Vice President Dr. Baumia na eka bibi a ye nyina ye bitima ahwe constitution mo aye nim say as Vice President na ye hwe free Vice President aka from 1992 say then Vice President aka Vice President Atamo Satamana or abadiache ma President Rollins no then also ankasa your former President Mahama also your Vice President to President Mills no also then otimi say me as Vice President no metimi aka kire wo say adwuma ye de share mensa Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo de share mensa which is say me put in place systems ebitima boa ama Ghana etima gina ye ama Ghana etima nya ne ntoma pa afura no memetimi aka kire na based on that no na me de me vision so aye de ben atudwa na mo hu say my big pain inti no se moto abane ma me December na se me be president so with new constitutional mandate and new authority no metimi so aye amana boa ama Ghana aye de ben etima konanim
but in that context
no, basically that's what Vice President Dr. Baumia
so to achieve now in doing so no is it really necessary say obedi party entirely at distance and at distance from the current regime and what is happening? I mean, some of the announcements of Vice President Ayeno seeks to create the impression say Omampayin Nana Addo abaini de no person wo ye as Vice President no de me metimi aya ne se metufo Akufo-Addo pa wonfa Akufo-Addo pa mama no emfa so announcing certain major measures wonim say currently eno na eboa wa ban so in terms of revenue generation no, it's more or less like running your boss down whilst he is still not even yet done with the mandate yede emano.
Me and me explanation say Say uti speech in a year. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Eshasye explaining the achievements of this government led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Anna or acknowledge the global and domestic economic crisis is here due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war like by. Now, despite that, no, ultimate say economy is in recovery. Any ejuma aban we cry no post-COVID period no. Still sa ejuma na oma ye no cry chain there aban bi be between 2013 and 2016 no. Now no. Mimi ni wunim say I say and he used a perfect example of a driver and a driver mate.
And don't a major concern because you remember.
Oh, mimi ni wunim say driver ko ba bia mate with my catch and say oh driver hasen e say ko yemfa left and yemfa right. And only advice with my driver. But driver in the crash steering whoa no bit my case maybe yanko left. On a bit decided finally say yanko left and yanko right.
Not at the time my driver no edini GDA ashe mate anymore. Na wama Ghana fo nyina no ehun ana passengers ni nyina no ehun se me mate nie nanso me woni mu GDA se obetimi aye de me ye ibe. The more reason why ntia de bia no me pesa me ne no partner. I mean President Akufo-Addo has on several occasions spoken so well about Dr. Bawumia and the fate Unyaye Ewonimu.
Exactly. And me actually me da was say woka asem way. Oka say they said oka no. I said the we driver. Now oka say when you ujide wo mate mu.
Exactly.
Enti wo de adwuma we be hye wo mate ne say adwuma we no ye mame because mu ujide wo mu say adwuma wo betima ya mame. Anna as vice president no adwuma ye de hye ne nsa say onye no eno no na enumerate say adwuma no mo de hye ne nsa say onye no which is digitalization initiatives or the two dwa aboa ama Ghana atime put in systems in place eboa ye ema ye koye nim se ye call baby to say education sector first no na say we student na say person ko university ukwa ko pay loan o be ka cho say ko pay obi guarantor obi si anamu ayedebe amount why because there was no unique identity for Ghanaians. Into when you say maybe no so obeje loan na betima ayedebe obetima asesa identity kura and aso obetima aduane ayedebe akọ. But Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at the Ghana card yes so my issue am obi a boy am unique identity no. Say because of that we a student na person ko university unhia say obekwa kopo obi obesi anamu ama and no say do Ghana card na eba ya edebe ya de ama ye ba the health sector and na odi two just say odi bibia ye friend no the medical drone delivery ya edeba Ghana no medical drone delivery no enene adebe medical drone delivery no and o kan say ne papa yare na owo hospital de no mu hia moja of frey busa say na moja yi da ben ebeba but ofra onya nipa no and this is what is happening across in the rural areas nipa maybe no nyame amane 80 years 90 years nipa no because of a critical drug and as a moja esen in saka no nipa na yede efrimu nipa no ntimi contribute to the development of Ghana but with the medical drone delivery system no say no hia moja quickly no omutimi de yedeben omutimi de moja na yedeben ebro say ye ka injuma ye create e-commerce first no na obi wo no ma sika kura o de be kwa rent shop obe hye na adwuma ase no eno kura yedeben eden now so ode mobile money interoperability buy as I say ultimate send sika free MTN e de Vodafone ultimate send sika free Vodafone e call bank account near ye he say obi timi advertise ni nyoma online
yes
Facebook
doc, all these things are all boss no all these things are all boss no
omo de share nsa
will you credit it to Dr. Bawumia or you credit to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president?
Inti nyoma we a obo no se wutie ni ya
yes
enti no say oda president Nana Addo Dankwa president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo oda na se otimi with ne support no de adwuma we ehye ne nsa watimi ayeden waye enti adwuma no mo de hye ne nsa no watimi aye ni yie anaso ntimi ye ni yie eno na yese Ghana fo hwe so no mo kasa adwuma we no say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia timi ye ni yie dia na that means obedi president obetimi ayeden asesa nyoma cry as president. Because as a union, say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia only president now. But the main contender not the vice president da. Into the main contender not as vice president. Then also as vice president. It means the son.
Yeah, about that comparison, no. But and we didn't offer our body in there are two sides of the coin: the successes and then the failures are some way, no, somehow, no, a buying way. Looking unpopular with certain major policies out there. But for instance, at the beginning of this year, more introduce the emission tax more the EBA. Very, very unpopular tax, as you say, Ababinya. A lot of Ghanaians are asking you, say, DNTSS almost tier emission tax as at this point. Now, you make an attempt to introduce a 15% increment on VAT on electricity tariffs for lifeline consumers and more withdrawal. Now, these are major things. You saw the brouhaha and the public outbuster during the implementation of e-levy. Now, you've been there. Success is achieve, but these are also equal policies are making a buying unpopular. Dr. Bawumia Enra did not own up the responsibility. Say he's been part of this particular failures as well.
I think if we remember what the vice president said, or say the economic management team is like a subcommittee of cabinet. What the economic management team does, or move to a buying for. Now, no, so move to a buying for. They do cabinet level. Cabinet level, na decision is taken. So cabinet would then take the final decision, or the president would then take the final decision. Now, if cabinet need taking final decision, say cabinet taking final decision, I had to say nipa ye be ye tenor, ye kwa koto aba, and I ye drain assembly home. Nipa 2 and a 3, ibitima akase adi we the main drain say ekuse. Now so the majority need decide they say na ese kodia. Whatever the case, you are also part of it. It's a collective responsibility.
But Edra were only up in that contest. Oh, he rather sought to create the impression, say yes, or survey advice, but was survey they either take it or leave it. For instance, another example, the benchmark values are not a war port, okay? Our traders, importers, a catcher will say selected items we are more sadi and abano. Now you didn't mind that policy, no more. Now the vice president now comes back to tell you, say obey a flat rate. These are major interventions, are probably so to speak. Say one vice president said your person you believe no and a buying at the year probably by now no and our position mo party no I'm a breaking the 8 mo person mo breaking no. I so easy mama. The cost of living our no ankasa e kan ho asem endra no. I mean, some of these things are part of the reason why Ghanaians are crying about the current state of their living.
Yeah, and now, so we the vice president can so we looking at or mention Nyoma Miensa, or talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, or talking about the banking sector cleanup, and I will discuss about the energy excess capacity payments. Cumulatively amounted up to 50.1 billion. And no, it me a crowded fiscal space, and now it's a buying, say a call IMF. The Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia clearly said, it drew on no so na buyer in 2025.
Yeah.
There are some certain initiatives be and policies or they be put it in place. Some is empowering the private sector. Ebe boa omo ama omo njuma atimaye de ben akoso. Omo be complementing government when it comes to road construction, when it comes to providing critical services to Ghanaians. No be boa ama aban no atimanya fiscal space. Obetimi anunti no obetimi agina so aboa ama ode policies bi beba bibi te say 11 now or say obe abolition. Ebi no to say Temaporta also be benchmark with Lome Port no. Because ko be to say Lome Porta. They say yeah obi aso smuggler for Lome Port. Lome Port for cost in yini in our form. So also be benchmark. Sa na ma traders almost importing your ma ebeba Ghana no. almost cost a tima perform. No almost what tima pass sa reduction in cost no so am Ghana for.
Has Dr. Baumia ever offered such an advice? I mean, you are closer to the corridors of power. The wo Kenya, I mean, na fe betimi aboa Ghana ni biano. Has he ever offered an advice on this particular thing? I mean, cabinet amfa nyejuma.
And I make a choice say, as economic management team, which is a subcommittee of cabinet, they constantly provide advice.
Yes, but we would have to deal with the trust issues. Because you're all and you are still in the seat. He's still the vice president. Now, the simple analogy, and it's and you may be a honoma on so, and you may be only a bino and only a boss, which is the president, and yarding. Say, for the best of advice. Nasi womo enti, womo fa wadwin fuani be emma. I mean, simply, why don't you resign rather than now telling us or seek to create the impression, say, waka na yamfa nyejuma, and it ends there because you are a driver's mate.
Busa question me say.
Yes.
Kessben 92.9.
One the unuanom wo abusua mu no. De wo papa anase unua bema anase unua ba anase o maame. De omo beka nyina na omo be ya adwen.
I think that is a wrong contest.
Debbie, and I say abusua.
You can precisely
deal with
the corporate. No, you can precisely deal with the corporate environment.
Where abusua?
I'm just pointing out, sir. You can deal with the corporate environment because that is exactly what we are dealing with. Say, baby, I'm here, Jumaine. I mean, your first morning show or suggestions. Will be to me at the ama. Ebema o morning show no I improving. Okay. I mean, waka bako mienu miensa management emfa nyejuma. You understand? I mean, you offer your contribution as a host or as a how do you call it? An analyst, company na employ. Now, ufri say omonfa wadwen kire enyejuma, but he also say the wo kire no betimi aye ejuma better. Ama improvement aba. Now you feel say it is not being listened to. I mean, the best you do is to resign and then you go because definitely it is not being considered.
Yeah.
That would be a fair judgment.
I make a choice. We abusia sem. Nyoma ni bi ho no ma wo kan e befa. Nyoma bi ho no ma wo kan ye mfa. But I don't know punch say wo ne wo papa na say wo nua be ma na say wo nua ba. Say wo kan yi na say ono no kan bibi na wo so o drink say na say corner so monfa na that mean say abusua no why the ben we free one na nti nyoma ni bi won ma kan be fa nyoma ni bi won ma wo kan the ben o monfa enu nti na me catch us say adwuma ye de ahye Dr. Mahmoud Baomi ansan say adwuma ye de ahye ne nsan no say Ghana fo busa o mo ho say adwuma no watima ye ni yi ana say ambulances ye ba Ghana 2017 ye ba aban mu na say 50 or say 55 no say no ambulances say ana wo Ghana into Dr. Baomi
special initiative under the office of the president, not the vice president.
No, it was a special initiative
under the office of the
Hawa Kumsina, yes. Vice President office, a champion, the vice president secretariat under the office of the president, a champion, and the records are there. You beat my head, you beat my check. The question here said, time na fuel prices. Cost after the COVID-19, I call baby to say Nigeria pre-COVID. Now fuel prices were increasing 10.34%. Post-COVID, fuel prices were increasing over 200%. You call baby to say Sierra Leone. Pre-COVID, now fuel prices were increasing just about 16%. Post-COVID, fuel prices were increasing over 200%. Ghana higher kasano sono. Post-COVID, now fuel prices say cost no. Omote share Dr. Mahmoud Baomi say on fa initiative and ideas, innovative ideas mba ebe boa ama fuel prices aba from no. Or they gold for oil policy e buy. Last year omo introduce gold for oil policy no across the West African sub-region. Ghana can one of the very few countries fuel prices stabilize here. Ghana fuel prices increase here just over 6% compared to Cote d'Ivoire over 12%, compared to Burkina Faso, over 13%. Into go for oil policy, no. A year Juma and a senior Juma. Yet share Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and Semono. What me aye, I'm a fuel prices are stabilizing, and as a fuel prices and stabilizing. Yet the medical drone delivery services share Dr. Mahmoud Baumia in Semono. Say, no, we have the largest medical drone delivery system, not only in Africa, but in the whole world. Ye can say for digitalization share Dr. Mahmoud Baumia as you know. Na corruption intimate form no. Ye national service are ghost workers no. 44,000 ghost workers between 2022 to 2024 no. Yetimi ayi 44,000 ghost workers a free system no. A save Ghana buying 356 million Ghana cedis. Enti yebusa adwuma edesha Dr. Mahmoud Baumia ase no e-commerce America ho asemwe create jobs as say wo oda nneoma because of the mobile money interoperability or the buyer no Ghana fo bitima atua ama omo ton nneoma online because of digital address system or the buyer no say no oda nneoma e betimi e de abre wo fie ama say e-commerce e konanim ndwuma pi eba online say na ama say obi wo abroche kra otimi send sika ebre ye papa no mo no ne maame no mo a omo wo efie omo so omo nhia so mekwa ko queue e wo Western Union say national health insurance amene wo ka say between 2013 to 2016 increase just by 500,000, but from 2017 to now increase over 6.5 million. Enun tino say no unhia se obekwa ko kiwi akwa register for national health insurance enu ase obekwa online intino adwuma we ya de Dr. Mahmoud Baumia ya share nsem Dr. Mahmoud Baumia watimi aye ni ye ana wontimi ye ni ye
okay
it is watimi aye ni ye dia that means say why ye be done yede amamu ne share nsa 2025 obetimi aye more with the constitutional authority and powers to transform this country.
Okay, and I took time as I to analyze the statement, Bia will make here. Now, comparatively, the reason why some Ghanaians are telling you, sir, yes, you may have your own vision, but you are part of Abaya and what to say, when our your mampenyi abedi tree. One no nyina and a running on the same ticket and a munya mandate. Now, Doc, let me mention to you some of the major policies are. Under Nanado Baumia government, Motimia initiative, Dr. Baumia and Dra sought to depart from those policies, making it look as if he was never in support of those policies. Now there is a revision of the expansion of taxes on a year gaming revenues. Abain as at last year, introduced taxes on betting. Okay, yes. Now, Andra, Dr. Baumia catch Ghana nyina say onona baemono obeyi tax on gaming e de free ho. Enti wo mo a sport betting ni ade as a last year as part of Moran Kasamo revenue generation methods amode baye mo say mo bet tax obi a o win bet bia na mo take akra de ama bae no. Dr. Baumia was there. But today, just between last year and this year, it's about a few months ago, he's telling us say, when he becomes a president, obey betting tax free ho. Now he talks about the current issue of a year, or say removal of a year, the VAT on electricity, which Abayano has suspended the implementation of the VAT increment. Then you come to the introduction of emission tax. Okay, Abayan esikise obetimi implemented to save the environment, climate change. And the conditions are say COP28 womo call ama resolutions as we are seeing etimi emiti. The government is telling you say one of the tax measures said the ebetimi aboa near safeguard the environment. It is just about last month. Anna buying MK such proposals at Ghana for Goso de Hong Kong. Now Dr. Baumia turns back himself to tell you say obey president in 2025 7 January obey emission tax The question I ask is very simple. Dr. Baumia, where has he been at the time buying able to such tax measures and proposals together before informing Ghanaians the contributions on these major proposals not anything?
No, I think the bottom line really is say
Kessben 92.9.
dear Dr. Baumia akasa obeye no.
Yes.
I think say E11 no kra no ye nyina e wo have dia dance here say before government ni propose say or the E-levy and a digital tax eba to mobile money transactions and etc. No, so
Yes.
it was already on record with the Yemen America. It was already on record. Said Dr. Baumia Eka say on dream who say yen tax mobile money transactions because esana poor no na be the best suffer from it. And in America say it's a collective responsibility. Sometimes you advise it is taken, sometimes you advise it is not taken. But no eku ebusia. Into whatever comes a collective responsibility. But the Jumana Yediasha Vice President Dr. Baumian Sase Onyen. Ma me boss no. So wetima yedia to say kaya you hostels no. So wetima yedia. Now that means he said the all cancer oba obeye no. Ebema edwadefo ho ahenhan omo no. Ebema business community for no ho ahenhan omo no. That means said Dr. Mahmudu Baumia ba ampa obeye deben obeye. This a tax amnesty ya all can one semi. Uye den obuza say GR4 mo kokatro bi say from 2014 2015. O de kai emfa say 30 million bituano. Se sia asem ya ye kan ni nipa ne kwa kofa sa 30 million o ye deben. Okofa free himfa. Anna wababitua.
Yes, and only Doc, I believe so. And only clearly expound. But the question I'm asking no, the issue of trust. I mean, as vice president, I buy say or the emission levy, okay? I buy say or the VAT increment, The question is that why do you have to wait as a vice president for such proposals to be implemented before you come back to tell us, say, Ubeye president on the mandate of the people? I mean, you do away with those taxes. And yet the issue of trust, how do Ghanaians trust the Dr. Bawumia Kano? Say, possible so betibiage. Again, Dr. Bawumia equally makes another interesting argument. Say, Oba, I mean, from 2025, Obeye president, or the just 50 ministers, including deputies.
Ministers.
Yes. And the
Yes.
At the time, you've been part of this government, President Akufo-Addo appointed over 120 ministers. The question is that what was the position of the vice president? As at the time, I was here today, even as vice president, all shasani money in no air cost.
But me I say when I me expenditure with them one entire.
No, I'm still asking because Ghanaians would want to trust what Dr. Bawumia has
and
said.
that's what I'm
So
explaining.
the issue of trust, will have to be clearly defined.
Oh yes,
exactly.
You for example, as someone over the owner of this TV station in and Obayana, say who kwa kope ejuma fufura, wo prospective employer no. Based on what no bema wo adwuma no based on adwuma sisi a wo ye no which is radio host adwuma ye a wo ye a ekọ nanima obi ani age a otie Kessben no based on eno ano wo employer ne beka say me ma wo adwuma foforo say wo be ye which is a promotion ampa wo betimi aye de ben aye wo prospective employer ne beka nkyere wo say wo minu ye o manager ye say ni say inti based on the manager no aya no ana me kwa akoma wadwuma na na say me ma wadwuma no
no but
unless
at the time you had the opportunity say obema wo mo hu stance clearly say either you agree to the air course or you disagree with the air course.
Let me say na make say aban kuo inti nyoma nyina waka kire wo manager na wo de ba betu dwa say me manager me catch me manager say onye say no wanya na oye say eye cool enu ntia me catch say wo kwa akohwehwe adwuma adwuma ya wo ye sisi no as radio host no enu no na ye behwe say wo ye ni ye ana as wanye ni ye ana based on that na ye de be ma promotion now so say wo as radio host no say wonya ye adwuma bia say wonya ye adwuma bia wo ha ana wo be kwa akọ hide say okay me boss aye say ni say intimi so me de me ho kwa akọ Ed me hon kwako ye de me kwako shenechi. Ti Dr. Bawumia ka say these are the records of the government led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But notwithstanding that, me as vice president, adwuma omode share mensa eni anamaye. But question really say yes yetimi busa na say vice presidents or Maba Ghana since 1992. No? What have been their contribution to this nation? So me busa say vice president aka catch me one major policy or the buyer wakaya. Minim say who will be since you be catch me ana.
Yes, but in that context, now you are telling us that he is not the ultimate decision maker, okay, or a mere driver's mate. On the other hand, we are made to also believe, say, major successes, major programs, major initiatives, Dr. Bawumia and the buy, or no supervise my successful, or no supervise my successful. For that reason, with all the explanations, that is how I can sum it up. Say, yemfa credit in the mano, na Ghana for and share the success. Any juma with me in that context. Now woman to about emano. And I have told you, say, two sides. Now the admission of the failures, should we only attribute the failures to the president and say yes, or no the ultimate decision maker. Enti mistakes aba, challenges aba, kufuadu abai. But the addition about will be answered what you aye. Is that the narrative? Mo pesi Ghana funyana.
And I make sure say His Excellency the Vice President.
Yes.
Enumerated the achievements of this government and clearly explained why na nyoma bi intima nkoye. I know I'm explaining it said due to the external events, which is the COVID-19 year be boom. And no kramachao say oko West Africa here, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, oko baby say Togo, oko baby say Cote d'Ivoire. They are also experiencing challenges due to this COVID-19. Me know what I say in our ha. Anna baby to say even the United Kingdom, it got to a point not even full crab a problem. Even the US, inflation, they recorded inflation a 40-year record when it comes to inflation. So it shows to say event can once meaning say a lot of sometimes NDC4 try making it seem like and be impact here, and it's something that has impacted globally. But despite that, the achievements of this government is still unmatched.
Don't you think, sir Dr. Bawumia espouse achievement, any Niema was supervised, successful, I mean, he could have equally convinced Ghanaians in a more straightforward manner by telling them, say, yes, challenges are I'm part of the challenges, but call your name no mean your opportunity, may Niema differently, rather than running away from the challenges and just highlighting the Niema your non achievement.
Let me say so
yes.
About the December 2024 election.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying.
So it's
making
clearly
a case for yourself
exactly,
as a candidate.
Yes.
So whilst you are also part of the incumbent government currently.
So the election really is between John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So as a Ghanaian, me kwa kotoa ba. Me question here say, then Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia aye. Any day na the former president John Dramani Mahama aye.
That is a contest
not the election. The election is not between John Dramani Mahama and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Wababa be yene die a wetima boa Ghana. But the elections is between John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Exactly,
so
but
Doc,
are you forgetting the fact that he's running on the ticket of the party and the achievement of the Akufo-Addo?
I'm not forgetting about. Anything I make a choice. Yes. And there's this interesting argument that happened. Yes. There was this NDC New York say Mahama running for 2013 elections. So he ran on the record of John Dramani Mahama. And my question to him was, of course, this government, led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has done a lot when it comes to the free senior high school, when it comes to the free TVET, when it comes to increasing access to sanitation facilities, when it comes to road construction near you. But the question now, Nipa Bibri Refini, Mubusani, Inti John Dramani Mahama, no, you're vice president, Depend pa achievement, and I share the records of this country. And I say, you share the records of this government as vice president. Then you beat him, John Dramani Mahama.
A vice president is always a driver's mate.
It's always a driver's mate.
Yes. So that is according to your own candidate.
Exactly.
Yes.
But and now, so in the year or say as with the support of the president. In Tiembusa NDC for say John Mahama time. A Juma Bainam atamo se de share nsa. Ana say Juma no oye ne sen. So obekai we dem America say obekai Bible mu a. So obekai Bible mu almost say sikani bi etu kwan. Otu kwan a of friend servants. Or see we my man 1 talent.
Yeah.
We my man 2 talents.
Yeah.
We my man 3 talents. We my man 4 talents. Oba back no. Ano fro mu nyina ano say wo 1 talent na me dem ha wo no. Then how dey we so 2 talents am the man, then or the we so 4 talents am the man, then or the inti Ghana for say December 2024 ye kwa akoto aba say Ghana for epe economy a bit man match with the developed countries say Ghana for omo pe say ye dru pempensoa yes ye bit man ka say ye na ye di kan e wo nyoma pi ho say Ghana for omo pe say omo dru pempensoa bia Ghana ni bit man atena ha na based on the skills and then the competence of one obetimi so aye adwuma wo ama no so not Ghana say Ghana for no omo pese omo drum pempenso bia endwuma pi ebetimi atre mmamburu no so betimi aye deben aye adwuma enti say na ye ko December 2024 no say Ghana for no person mo hwe say hwan ana obetimi ama corruption aye deben aba form na on twen ema obi mbewie ska
So I presume that these were the same promises the party led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia in 2020 and 2016 gave Ghanaians. Moving the economy from taxation to production, more buy and more abolish taxes are now more title and say a nuisance taxes. After those abolishments, you've introduced new set of taxes. Now, Dr. Bawumia has said, say obey abolishes some of those taxes on one and kasa na buying you're part of I introduce. Now the question I ask is very simple. Why should Ghanaians trust Dr. Bawumia to be a better president and do better than their president Akufo-Addo?
Yes. Incident here is a Ghana for trusted Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yes say talent na ye de share nsem say talent we no odi ani hweso no Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia etima hweso. Say no, you're talking about no guarantor students loan. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the Shannon Sano, which is in the records, say the Shannon Sano. What Timia ama say no na make no. Say students for the Muya Ghana card.
Okay.
Say you can about ambulance, one constituency, one ambulance. And also wait to check it in the records say yeah they share Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Seno. Or and also wait my ambulance say about 2 year na assay. Ambulance beto ye na enso and ye 50 to 55 no say no every constituency Ghana has say no omo ambulance ama bi so aye deben aba be ka ho adwuma ye de share Mahmoud Bawumia say fuel prices koso nti doctor boaye my adwene betima boa ama fuel prices aba form no or the gold for oil policy buy enunti no dollar component na emma fuel prices koso no yetima yi sa dollar component na yedebe afimu and omo ka say adwuma talent ye de share Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ase no say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia send yebitima ye minimize corruption because corruption is Ghana corruption since independence and man yoma bebre nkonanim Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia say and a sadia with the digitalization ebeba say National Service Secretariat because of the Ghana card and digitization say no omotimi between 2022 and 2024 atima save ama or minor 356 million 44,000 ghost workers free ECG revenue collections and 450 million Ghana cedis on average monthly no say and also atima increase to 1.2 billion and the financial the energy sector is much healthier to repay its debt and ama dum so ne so aye deben aba form omo de share Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia
so aba so bi mami read a couple of the messages aba mpacho say wunya en try on the Kessben cash port Hey, star 256 star 256 star 2 hash. Star 256 star 2 hash. Now, what's selected option 2 on Kessben Cashport. Now, I'll pay Mayor 3 draws. And my first draw, no, and Yadiato so at the amount. Star 256 star 2 hash. Now, what's selected option 2. Now, I'll pay what me a win. And surely, my name is first winner, no, Ebedin Komos here. Now, a lot of messages are Mode Abba and pay Julius Nanak Ede Abba. I'll say good morning, Mr. Speaker, Francis Apia Boche. So that feasible ideas accepted by the cabinet has brought us to where we are now, NPP government. We don't need your ideas anymore. You sent in that one. Ebenezer Kweku Bansa Ede Abba also is because they are not giving him the chance to act. That is why he is departing from what President Akufo-Addo has done. Daniel Olusu sends this one. I said the vice president doesn't have any good thing for the people of Ghana. Ghanaians should simply forget about him. Mohammed Issa says that this man is trying to defend the indefensible. He is unable to answer your questions. Exactly what Ghanaians are equally thinking. Thank you. Joseph, sensing this one, I say the most difficult thing to do in Ghana now is to defend the NPP and Dr. Bawumia as at now. Ghanaians do not trust that he'll be a better president than Akufo-Addo. He knew 50 ministers and deputy ministers could serve this country, yet he sat and watched his boss to appoint over 120 ministers. Food for thought. Ghanaians are the best deciders. Ode abanono. Richard Ofori sends in this one. Okay, Richard, advert na way, Mr. Awa Muhammad said, good question, Mr. Speaker. God bless you. You are asking the right question in the minds of Ghanaians. Thank you for a message. Musa Abatwa sends this one in. Or say it doesn't make sense for ordinary Ghanaian to fall for Dr. Bawumia's tricks. He was part of those who sat on cabinet to implement the decision to impose hardships on Ghanaians. In fact, we are told by Osafo Mafo that he led the introduction of all the policies by this government, including e-levy, betting, and tax of electricity. Today, he turns around to say that he will cancel it when he becomes a president. Until he solved the 170 economic questions he posed to Emisa Atta, he will never be taken serious as a vice president. Wa Muhammad says that this man is just beating around, is not really answering your questions. Simple questions. Look at what he keeps talking about. Mr. Speaker, you are hitting the right questions for him to deal with. Daniel Owusu comes again. I'll say Dumso to come to Insakwao and more. Okay, that is what you mean, though. Thank you for a message. Joe from Pond says that Dr. Bawumia is the future, and he clearly espoused the next chapter for Ghana's development. And Joe from Pond as well sensing that one on our Facebook handle. And handle no Kessben TV and our Kessben FM 92.9. Send us your thoughts and views. The question we asked this morning, and it's did the vice president really convince you on some of the things Endra or and now better still, no, you have a different view. But President Akufo-Addo, ahead of the NPP primaries, served a notice to some of the people na Wamo Kasa Edeba Abayeno. I will play that tape shortly. Now, Mashe said, Doc, Ebenya response to that. But my name first winner, no any enkomo na anope congratulating. Hello, good morning, Opeyin.
Morning.
I mean, and to say, we did this, I found out you free.
If I can reflect my jam, Cassette, someone can say.
My job has ever someone case in the eastern region. And Ope, what we need Kessben Cashport.
If I cheer you.
She can't buy home.
If I cheer you.
I hear a buy
5,000.
500 Ghana cedis.
If I cheer you.
Okay. Now, here now we try
15 cities.
15 cedis.
And
And congratulations to you. Why?
thank you.
Thank you. And to my dear Saban Kese, she's our first lucky winner for the morning. Pacho, Unyan try star 256 star 256 star 2 hash. Star 256 star 2 hash. Na was selected option 2. Na afe what me extra a 1,000 Ghana cedis and pay ye give it away. Star 256 star 2 hash. Star 256 star 2 hash. And then with option 2, no, you keep playing. Now, I'll pay also ube winning. Now let's listen to the president on this particular address.
We gain by attacking the record of our own. We gain. See what we gain by attacking the record of our own government. When you do that, then you become then party candidate. What are you going to tell the people of Ghana? Oh, it was a Kufuado who misled you and mismanaged affairs. I will be different, even though I am MPP. I'm still under the Oslo sign. I'm different. And the people of Ghana will be that gullible. No, let's be serious. So the question is, I think that if we're talking about the record of the government, my understanding is that every MPP person, communicator, or whoever you are who is a supporter of the party, it's your duty to try and defend that record and make sure that the people of Ghana buy into that record. Because at the end of the day, once this presidential primary is over, that is going to be the issue before the country.
And this is what President Akufo-Addo said ahead of the NPP's primaries. And now, when the communicators of the party, he was not so much happy about the way Adan Nkrofo attacked the achievement of his government. Doc, will this apply to the candidate of the NPP now?
Yeah,
So, the president can.
The first hour of the vice president's speech. Or explaining economic circumstances are a woman and then Nyoma before the COVID-19 and then challenges are happening post COVID-19. So he enumerated so many achievements of this government. He never ran away from the records of this government. He mentioned so many achievements of this government and even said, because of Imre na ini ho time na ini ho no munintino ontimi nkani na nanso enche omudi bibi beba ye friend performance tracker eno no every Ghanaian ni bia wo krom ha se bia no ebetima hu ne district achievements Ghana any nyuma Ghana njuma aban aye amano ewo ne mpatam. Inti se wosha or can you be or can say roads they are constructing over 11,674 kilometers of roads or can about rural telephony say about 278 sites. Say na many workers say no or multiple increase over 1,000 sites or can be to say public libraries. I and also ewa honoma ye increase from 61 to 115 or can be to say astroturfs say bus sports development ye ba aban mu na astroturfs e wo Ghana ye 3 miensape so wetima increase aban we led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo atimi increase astroturfs na fi 3 to over 150 or talking about access to toilet facilities. Ni nyina no na ewo eyinum time rent no wenti man kan. No so no yetima increase access to sanitation and toilet facilities from 33% ebeto here to almost 60%. Or talking about 3 months teacher arrears policy. Okay. Say aban bia atwamu kono. Teacher for year juma so many years and so many months no almost say mboso me happen ye ba betua wo no ye ba ye na ba we ya de ben we twam you're talking about teachers training allowance aban we ba ye no wetima ye de ben wa ba restore you're talking about agricultural growth ye beto ye na ye 2.9% as say you know amene wo ka say even notwithstanding yareboni we aba eha amamanya ewo wiase nyina no say no ye recorded almost a double of agricultural growth ama rice imports say etimate form by about 45% as say that means say farmers from Ghana no ye empower mo. He mentioned all these records of this government records are aban we are free Tibet, free senior high school many wo kase atime increase enrollment from 800,000 as I say akọ over 1 million. See omo ko school enrollment we are increasing no. That means without the free senior high school no say no question is ebuso omo ho say na omo wo hefa nti aban we I say His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo kan That was why the first hour of the speech, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia went through the records and acknowledged the global and domestic economic challenges that happen. Nyoma Buana Air Kosro, fuel prices are now, and also air Kosro. He acknowledged all of that.
Kessben
And I can say,
92.9
in addition
Asidankwa.
to records we are buying, we etimaye. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo etimaye di amiaye no. Now me as Vice President, or man penny bedi echie no, me so dying na modi ama me because okun ya ye koi abatu ya ye kwa koto ni December 2024 abatu no ye between me and John Dramani Mahama. It is a Ghana for kwa koto abana. Yes, abana ayebi, but omo koto abana omo be busa se Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia ube ye Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo abedi echie no. Dying na woso wetimi aye. President de undi bida. Nanso abe uye abedi echie no talent Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo de ma sa talent no wetima hwe so ye ana John Dramani Mahama ono so talent ye de man as vice president no ono so atima hwe so ye ana ho na ono so ka say se ba energy sector metima aka say matimi improve the financial health of the energy sector with digitization of ECG revenue collections are increasing from 450 million Ghana cedis to over 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. And obitima kasa over health sector, mesumetimi aye NHI National Health Insurance Renewal Online. And obitima kasa say memesono medical drone delivery system. We have the largest not only in Africa but in the whole world. I must say no villages ni eyi nkrase miankasa mokrase ni eyi e wo hono sebe obi anyame ama ne 80 years 90 years say believe wo Ghana no not because of moja intino wetimi wawu no medical drone delivery intino say no ebo no ho ban eno na obusa say Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia education sector no then na wo so utimi ye boa ye de talent ne hwe wo say then na utimi boa ye o say eye say obia so wo yesika new so ye hia new so utimi ko tertiary education enti enu ntino mintimi ma omo be kan kire wo say kope obi bra no be si asiwa ma ansa na yetima ma wo loan ama watima ko university enti eno Ghana card no enti no unhia say obekwa kope obi ama wasi anamu ama Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia enjuma emambunu no pe adwuma enti den na wobetima ye aboa ama yeso yetima nya adwuma o say ene saade dia me the mobile money interoperability beba me the digital address system beba sano na omu ni bi no a omu betima rent shops no omu betima atena omu fie na omu timi advertise omu nyoma online na due to mobile money interoperability ntino omu so search mark musika na due to digital address system ntino nyoma no so wetima ba bedru ho enti enu Ghana for the makano maye enti moto abamamia tax amnesty no me de beba e-levy no me abolish emissions tax no me ye free hono me benchmark Temaport to the Lome port sano na me dwade for so aye de be omo ho ahe ha
Doc, I'm grateful for your time.
me so me das
Now